What's going on, guys? Verified here. If you don't know who I am, I make MultiVersus videos and I am a Morty main. I'm currently 24th in 1s and 10th in 2v2s, which may not sound that impressive, but at the same time, you gotta recognize I'm not really a grinder like a lot of these people. I hop on the game, play a little bit, get off, but I'm sure a lot of people recognize that I am a very good Morty player. So now that I got my qualifications out there, welcome to my new and updated Morty guide, because this character has changed a lot over time. Let's get right into it, man. So starting off, what kind of character is Morty? If you go to the character list, you are going to see this guy listed as a bruiser. I'm going to tell you right now, he is absolutely not a bruiser. This guy is a through and through definition of a mage. Is he as good of a mage as Tom and Jerry? No, but this guy is definitely a kind of bad mage, but when you equip the fact that he has crazy bruiser capabilities, he's definitely just a nice hybrid mage character. So you shouldn't be playing this character like a bruiser, because that's simply not what he is. Let me explain why by going over his moves. Let's start off with his tilt, starting off with his down tilt. This is a pretty solid move for breaking armor. You can actually make it combo into itself by swaying back and forth. It's also good for getting rid of hazards on the side of the stage, such as the radios on Crumbulus. Not too good of a move, but definitely a pretty solid option at times. You have his up tilt. It shoots snakes out the side. We'll go more into depth about this move later. It can be good situationally, but it's really not the best. You have his forward tilt. A pretty mid move, and the reason for that is his forward tilt string can lead into two different options. First of all, you have his hammer, and then second of all, you have his whip, both of which are not guaranteed and a lot of the time are going to go right through your opponent, or they are going to parry / dodge out of it. Your best option out of your forward tilt is really to do something like this. You can do a stun gun off of the forward tilt to start a combo. But a lot of the time when you are put in that position, you are not going to have the stun gun available, and that move is just not that good because a lot of other forward tilts in the game are going to beat it out to begin with. His neutral attack is his stun gun. We will talk a lot more about this move later. This is by far Morty's best move in his entire arsenal. Now let's talk about his aerials. First of all, we have his down air. This, in my opinion, is not a good move. Let me explain why. Because I see a lot of Mortys using this move like it's one of the best moves in his kit, when it's simply not the case. First of all, if you take a look at this move, does this look fast to you? A lot of people might answer yes, but in reality, you're looking at like a 22 frame move. You know what you can do in probably the exact same amount of time in which you can get that down air off? You can probably do this right here in the same amount of time, man, and you are going to cover a lot more distance and have a lot more higher chance of getting an elimination doing that than you are doing this down air with a one-sided 90 degrees hitbox. This is just not a very good move in my opinion. Next up, you have his forward air. This is one of Morty's 3 approach tools. Once again, we will talk more about that later. This is probably your best aerial move because it comes out so fast. The problem is, coming into season 2, Morty was supposedly going to get buffed when it came to this move because a lot of the time it was not going to lead into the second hit of its side air, which looks like this. But unfortunately, it just made it even more inconsistent. So a lot of the time when you go for a side air, you are not going to be able to hit the second part because your opponent is going to bounce off the ground, or they're just going to bounce so vertically away from you that you are not going to get the follow-up. And what the best option is out of doing this move is going for your up air, which we will talk about now. It is by far Morty's best kill move, an extremely nasty move, does a stupid amount of damage, works extremely well in combos, has a pretty good hitbox, but what you will see is when you are close to the ground, it's a kind of weird hitbox. As you can see, if I try to IAD into it, it is not going to work. Next, let's talk about his special. First of all, we have the grenade. Extremely good move. Once again, we will talk more about this in a minute. And what you can do is you can whack this grenade at your opponent and it'll have a pretty long active hitbox to stun your opponent. And then if you do stun your opponent with the grenade, you can most likely activate it for a follow-up that is going to do a pretty significant amount of damage. You can also split this grenade into 2 different grenades with fast grenade properties. So then if I do a move like forward air, you can see that grenade is moving a lot faster than this grenade right here, unsplit. You can do different moves on these fast grenades to mix up your opponent, and don't forget that every move that you do on these fast grenades and unfast grenades is going to have that active hitbox to potentially hit stun your opponent and get the follow-up. Next, we have his side special, a move that needs no introduction, man. By far one of Morty's best moves. It does have a pretty small hitbox, as you can see. You have to be pretty specific about where you actually hit them, but this is actually a very good move because what you can do Look at that arm down there. How have I never noticed that, man? That is so unbelievably creepy. Is mud wall into side air into up air, which is pretty much Morty's bread and butter. We're gonna go over that later in combos. I think you can play this character extremely compact, and not only can you get combos off of the mud wall, but obviously it applies 2 stacks of weakened. There is now a maximum of 3 stacks of weakened, which is not very good. It definitely nerfed Morty a little bit because he used to be able to get 5 off of some mud walls, but now you still get that 2 stacks. Very solid, man. Down special, borderline useless in ones. What you never want to do in ones is just run away, you know, engage in some combat, and then, oh, I'm going back to my original position. Because what's going to happen, especially against this guy right here, this little Shaggy, is he's just going to time up a kick as he sees you coming back to your original position, and you are probably going to die very early, man. You never want to use it like that in ones. Instead, what you want to do is just something like this, man, because you get that fast grenade off of it, and then maybe you hit him with a little mix-up using that fast grenade. Another thing you can do with the down special is maybe something like this right here. You know, try to recover with the grenade. Like, look, that's just his Shaggy. Why not, man? Just shoot it at him, activate it, you might land a hit. Side special in the air is going to give you armor. This is an extremely good move to recover because if your opponent tries to spike you or they try to edge guard you, bam, just enjoy some armor, man. As long as they don't command grab you, you're pretty good to get back on stage. It doesn't cover a crazy amount of horizontal distance, and you definitely want to use it fast so they can't punish you once you are out of the portal, but it's definitely a pretty good move. And also, if you shoot projectiles through it, they will go faster. That's useless though. Don't even think about that, man. Up special, crazy move for recovery. You can use it aggressively. I really don't, to be honest. I mean, you could obviously do something like this. Now that we've talked about his moves, let's talk about how to actually play this character. First of all, how do you approach your opponent? How do you play in neutral? Well, really, you are limited on options. First of all, you have the mud wall. The mud wall is a move that people complain about a lot, but on paper, it's really not that good. It's slow, the range is not that insane, but what really makes this move good is not only the fact that you can combo into it, you can maybe do stun gun mud wall, like I mentioned earlier, but you can also use it to call out your opponent's movement. If you think that your opponent is going to roll, place a mud wall where you think they are going to roll. If they are going to jump, place it where you think they are going to land. You are going to be able to catch your opponent with combos just by hitting them with a single mud wall, like that combo right there that is going to do a heaping 24 damage. Next way to approach is your stun gun. You can go stun gun, mud wall, side air, up air. You can also actually go stun gun, mud wall, down air, side air, up air, but it's a little more precise. The majority of the time I don't actually go for that because I mean, you're much more likely to drop it. Obviously, it's more hits. You're probably going to drop it. It's always an option if you want to do it. It only works at low percentages. But yeah, if you want to learn that, go ahead. I don't do it though. I find it much more consistent to just do this right here. Does a pretty similar amount of damage, and I'm going to hit it like 85% of the time, man. Next approach tool you have is side air. It is extremely important that you mix up the side airs into your gameplay, and every time you hit a side air, you go for that up air. It's not going to hit every single time. Sometimes your opponent is going to fly horizontally and you're not going to get the follow-up, but if you don't mix in some side airs into your gameplay, what's going to happen is your opponent is just going to start jumping, and then you can't hit him with the mud wall or the stun gun, and then you're pretty much cooked, man. It's also important that you learn how to dodge side air. As you can see, it costs about half of your dodge meter, but it is going to catch your opponent extremely off guard because, I mean, just look at the speed, man. It's absolutely insane. Now, let's talk about one of the most overlooked options in Morty's kit, and honestly, what separates bad Mortys and good Mortys, the grenades. They are not only amazing for approaching your opponent, but they are also great for stage control. You need to be creative with your grenades and randomly detonate them and do big damage, man. It is going to keep your opponent guessing. It is going to shut off certain sections of the stage. The grenades are so unbelievably important for a good neutral game. For example, you might even do something like this right here, and this is going to keep your opponent wondering, where do I go and what do I do, man? Like, what is happening to this guy? He doesn't know what's going on. Maybe you shoot this upwards and then you knock him into it. It's very important that you not only get good at juggling the grenades to do things like this when you're trying to recover, but you understand what makes the grenades float, what makes the grenades have an active hitbox, where you should place the grenades, such as placing them right there to try to spike your opponent, such as placing them right there to try to gimp out a hit if they roll. You know, the grenades are just so important for good Morty gameplay. Never be afraid to just randomly detonate grenades too. Next, I'm going to talk about things that every single Morty watching this video should know, and then I'm going to talk about combos, and I'm going to keep the combos compact and easy so every single person watching this can go into practice mode and get right with Morty and pretty much play exactly like me. First of all, If you crouch while you are low on shield, as you can see, you are going to recover shield. This is exclusive to Morty. It's very important because you are going to be using a lot of dodge meter with this character. You are constantly going to be dodging, doing nonsense like this. Next, this is so important and so overlooked. If I am all the way over here and I hit him with that, there is no way I'm hitting a forward air into up air, right? Wrong. And it is so important that you learn this because you are going to be doing it so often, man. You need to learn how to dodge, side air, up air. So many times you are going to miss out on kill confirms if you don't learn how to do this. If I'm all the way over here, I hit him with this. Bam. That's a kill confirm I would have missed out on if I did not learn how to dodge, side air, up air. It's so easy. It'll take you 40 seconds to go master. And yeah, you need to learn it if you want to be a good Morty, dude. It's just so important. And then take this with a grain of salt. It's up to you if you want to learn it. I would recommend after hitting an up air, you shoot a grenade and just throw it in a random direction. Maybe up, maybe to the side. And you might catch your opponent lacking. For example, I go like this. Bam. Maybe I catch him, maybe I don't. It literally hurts nothing. You have 2 grenades, they recharge pretty often. You almost never want to have 2 grenades in your inventory. Even if like there's not a situation where you should be using them, you should just throw them out. Why not, man? Just do something. Just throw them and then just whack them and do something, man. Just waste the grenades. Just try to shoot them, see what happens. Let's talk combos. I'm going to keep this compact, nothing flashy. I'm going to show you everything I use in game that is actually useful. First of all, we have stun gun, mud wall, side air, up air. I do this about 10 times a game, man. It is so money. Next, I don't really do this one. It's an option. I don't know why I don't do it. I need to start, man. We have mud wall, stun gun, mud wall, down air, side air, up air. Money, dude, does like 45 damage. Pretty good, man. Next, at very high percentages, you can do stun gun into dash attack. If they're at like 140, that's a solid kill option right there. But most of the time, the way you are going to be getting your eliminations is you are going to do mud wall, side air, up air, which is going to stop working at a certain percentage to the point where you just need to go mud wall, up air. That is how you are going to get the large majority of your eliminations is stun gun, mud wall, up air, or just mud wall, up air when they're at a high percentage, man. If you're looking for a very early elimination, you can also shoot a grenade, shoot it up, mud wall, bam, just like that. It's pretty precise, man, and honestly it's not going to be very consistent, but you are going to be able to somehow get early eliminations if you're lucky. But the most common combo I do, side air, up air, just like that. It's so money, spammable. Most of the time you're not going to hit that up air, but when you do, it's going to do big damage. It's going to reward you heavily. Another thing, you can get up close to your opponent, you can dodge into them, something like that. You know, just that stun gun, mud wall, up air is just so strong, man. Let's talk kill options. You have up air, you have dash attack, you have the snakes out of the top and bottom of your stun gun. The snake on the bottom will spike them off of the stage. The snake at the top will obviously spike them onto the top of the stage, and both will kill if you can catch them off stage at about 70 health. It's a pretty good option, but as you could imagine, it is very precise as the snakes have a pretty small hitbox. You have the grenades. The grenades will kill at specific angles. If you can get underneath them, it is definitely going to kill extremely early, especially if you can activate it like that and they are on top of the grenades. But yeah, you're pretty limited on kill options once they hit about 120. As the further you are away, the harder it is to hit mud wall into up air. What's important though, and how you are going to be getting 90% of your kills, is you need to hit the up air while they're at the peak of the height that the mud wall sends them to. As you can see, they have a very direct arc there, and they start heading down at a certain point. You need to hit them with the up air when they're at the very peak of their mud wall. And yeah, man, there's your Morty fundamentals. Last thing, perks. These are the best perks no matter what. These are pretty much the best perks unless you're playing the Tom and Jerry. Then you want the extra Fleeb Juice perk because you can kill Jerry with the Plumbus pretty early and get rid of all of those projectiles. Obviously, if you're fighting a projectile spammer, that's gonna be a pretty good perk. There's Morty fundamentals. Hopefully this helped you out. If it did, subscribe to join the Vera fam. We got a lot of Morty content coming. Leave a like on the video and comment if you have any questions.